But tonight, we're wrapping up our series called The Chase, and we've been talking about a bunch of different things, but tonight I want to start off, everybody stand up real fast. We're going to play a game that I love, and you guys probably love too. It's okay, we're going to be playing rock, paper, scissors. So I want you guys to go ahead, here's the rules. It is always on shoot. There's none of this rock, papers, and then shoot on three. No, it's always rock, paper, scissors, shoot. So go ahead and go. We're trying to find one winner, so hurry up, let's go. Fast, fast. Once you lose, find somebody who won. Once you lose, you're out. Once you lose, sit down. Once you lose, sit down. All right, if you're a winner, come up here, close to the stage. Close to the stage. We got a winner?
Let's go.
All right, stay right here. Wait. You guys stay up here, up here. Wait, not yet. All right, here's what's gonna happen. Wait 1 second, wait. All right, up here, final 6, 7. You're an adult, all right, you're out. Sorry.
No, I win.
Nope, sorry, you're out. I love you, man. All right. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay, I'm older than you. So here's what's gonna happen. You guys have not been playing for anything, you're just playing for bragging rights at this point. So right now, you guys, I have a $10 Target gift card in my pocket that you guys are playing for. I know. So do you guys want this? Do you want it? Do you want it? You want it? Nope. You got to play for it. So all right, you guys against you guys. You two. All right, go. All right, you're out. Winner. All right, you're out. Okay. Sarah, because you're a lady, we're going to make them go against each other. All right. Boom. All right. We got the championship. Wait. All right. So we have Sarah versus Ben. Are you guys ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. Let's see. Because this is a championship, we're gonna do best 2 out of 3. Best 2 out of 3. All right, go. All right, that's one. All right, that's one. Wait, hold up. It's 1-1 right now. All right, here we go. Come on! There we go. Give it up for Sarah. Woo! Good job. Competition is fun, right? It's fun to compete. It's fun to win. It's not so fun to lose. Sorry, Ben, we love you, man. Second place is first loser. But no, I'm joking. I'm really joking. Raise your hand if you've been second place a lot in your life. Yeah, exactly. Competition, somebody said younger brother. Competition is really fun, but how many of you guys sometimes, maybe some of us in here, we get caught up and we allow, listen up, maybe a lot of us, maybe some of us, maybe none of us, maybe we get caught up in competition a little bit and we allow our performance to be the indicator of our worth. Maybe some of us, we feel like we have value when we win. Maybe some of us, we feel worthless when we lose. Tonight, we are going to be continuing our series about chasing after Jesus and what this whole thing looks like. And I want you guys to understand the bottom line right at the top. Chasing Jesus means not chasing performance. I want you to remember that. Chasing Jesus means not chasing performance. And when we think about performance, I want us to understand what performance is. So this is what performance is. I'm going to define it one of 2 ways. Go ahead and throw it up on the screen. Performance is, for one, go ahead and throw it up. Yep, an act of staging or presenting a play, concert, or other form of entertainment. Who is involved in performances like these, whether you're in theater or any sort of entertainment, maybe a marching band, something like that? So it's putting on an act, it's putting on something. That is performance. Second definition is this, the action or process of carrying out or accomplishing an action, task, or function. So we can define performance as one of two things, either the way that we perform and put on an act in front of something, or the way that we accomplish things. But I want us to understand something. Our performance, what we do, what we think, what we say, is impacted by our attitudes. And ultimately, that is a reflection of our heart. Our performance is impacted by our attitude, which is a reflection of what is in our heart. Maybe it's possible that our performance is tied to what's in our heart. Maybe. Maybe what we do is tied to what's in our heart. Maybe many of us connect our relationship with God to our performance. Here's what I mean by that. If I pray enough, then I'm close with God. If I read my Bible enough, then I'm close enough with God. If I don't do what, the bad things, if I don't vape, if I don't drink, if I don't have sex, maybe then I'm good in my relationship with God. Or inversely, if I do those things, man, I feel far from God. Maybe we allow our performance to be defined with our relationship with God. If I have Christian friends, if I hang out with church people, maybe if I even serve. Maybe some of us, we allow our connection many of us connect our relationship with God to our performance. And tonight I want us to have an honest conversation about what this actually looks like. I want us to kind of just take an inward perspective of what this whole thing between performance and our connection with our relationship with God actually is. And so I want us to have this honest conversation because we do put a lot of value on what we do. We do put a lot of value on our achievement. So let's make this connection. Like the competition that we just did, rock, paper, scissors, maybe this isn't one of those things where there's a lot on the line, If you lost in the first round, it doesn't really, it's a $10 gift card to Target. It's not that big of a deal, right? They're like, yes, it is. Man, that was 5 boxes of Cheerios. But maybe, what if instead of a $10 gift card to Target, what if it was a $1,000 scholarship? Yeah. Bailey Bender in the back was just like, what? What if instead of a $10 gift card, it was free high def? Or what if it was free big stuff or a free trip to the Bronx? Then wait, hold up. You probably take your rock, paper, scissors a little bit more seriously at that point then, don't you? Anybody take it a little bit more seriously at that point? Some of us? And the rest of you guys who don't have your hands up, you're lying. Because we take competition seriously, and unfortunately, I think we value achievement, and there's a lot of pressure to perform in our lives. And I think in high school, there's a lot of pressure to perform in just normal. How many of you guys are really trying really hard to get the top 10% scholarship? You're trying to be top 10% of your class, yeah. Some of you guys are embarrassed to raise your hand because you know that's you, but other people may look down on you because they're not there, and they're like, man, you're a really smart kid. Yeah, that's okay. It's okay to be a smart kid. Top 10% is a big deal. Did you know, how many of you guys are hoping to get an athletic scholarship at some point? I wanted to throw some stats at you. Yeah, did you know that the NCAA awards $2.9 billion in athletic scholarships to more than 150,000 people a year? That may sound like a lot. Who thinks $2.9 billion is a lot of money? That is a lot of money. If you're not raising your hands, then you're a rich kid, and it's not my life. But I want to put that in perspective. 150,000 people. If we were to just take Frisco ISD has 19,500 high schoolers. About 19,500 high schoolers in Frisco ISD. That would be 13% of the 150,000 plus thousand scholarships that are awarded to students from the NCAA. What we do and what we achieve, there's a lot of pressure. Unfortunately, I think if we were to think relationally, we'll do a lot and we'll put a lot of pressure on ourselves to keep the friends that we really value. Right? Who here has a best friend? Who here would do just about anything for their best friend? Most of us. I'm not gonna ask boyfriend or girlfriend because that's when it gets really awkward and then you really find out the depth of the relationships. You're like, no. there's a lot of pressure. And you know, what I want us to understand, we have to fight. In high school, you have to fight to not allow what you do to be the definition of who you are. That is something that you have to fight, and you have to fight to not allow your performance to be what dictates, what defines you. Because your actions may reveal your heart, but who you are is not defined by what you do. You know, 2 weeks ago, we kind of started this whole conversation about chasing after Jesus. And 2 weeks ago, we said that it starts with taking a first step. And so I was so proud of the many of you guys who said, this is the first next step that I want to take. We had students who were saying, I know that my first next step is following Jesus. And so I've been having conversations with you guys about what it looks like to actually follow after Jesus. I've been talking with you guys about baptism. We've gotten so many of you guys who are just starting serving for the first time, getting connected and serving. We have so many of you guys who I've been having conversations saying, man, I'm doing the Bible reading plan. It's been awesome. I've been doing it with my friends, and it's been keeping me accountable. And it's been so cool. I've seen so many of you guys who are praying for people intentionally. That was your first next step, and you said, I'm gonna not only do that, but I'm gonna follow with it. Pastor Colby last week said, not only do we follow these things, but we're gonna follow it up with a plan. And he said, to bring meaning to your yes, it has to be combined with the next. I thought that was really powerful. And he said, a meaningful next step needs a plan, or it stays in the distance as a next. And today we're going to take a look in God's word about something. And so I want to encourage you, you're always welcome to bring a Bible. We will have it on the screen. But I know that, I'm just going to be real. We know that there's something called the distractions of our cell phone. And if you can use your phone as a Bible, that's great. And I'll just ask that you would honor just this time. But if not, I would just ask that you don't use that and just follow on the screen, or bring your own Bible. That's a cool thing. But we're going to look at two of Jesus' closest friends. There's these two women, Mary and Martha, and we're going to look at what they viewed and how they viewed performance. So if you have your Bibles, go ahead and turn with me to Luke chapter 10. If not, it's going to be on the screen. Luke chapter 10, we're starting at verse 38. It says, as Jesus and the disciples continued on their way to Jerusalem, they came to a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. How many of you guys have ever had friends over? How many of you guys have ever had to actually prepare for your friends to come over? Probably not. Okay, so several of you. What'd you guys have to do? Clean the house, yeah? What else? What does it mean to clean the house? Because here's the deal. The dudes over here like, yeah, clean the house. I went and shoved all the stuff under my bed. And the girls over like, I had to scrub the floor. Oh my gosh, I had to go to the bathroom, and like I took a toothbrush and no, never mind. That's not actually what happened. What do you guys do when you clean the house? Clean your room, vacuum. Anybody have to do the dishwasher? Like, put out food. Yeah, all these different things. So Amy and I, my wife Amy, we have two very different perspectives of it, what it means to prepare for entertaining. I'm just like, hey, if people are gonna come to my house, I got 3 kids, it is crazy. I don't have time to do any of this stuff. So if they love me, if they accept me for who I am, they're gonna come over, and if they're gonna judge me, then I don't even care. Like, it's just not that. Amy is like, okay, Garrett, here's the deal. This is my house, and what they say is going to be it's going to be an indication of what they think about me. And I'm like, Amy, don't stress. And she's like, Garrett, you need to learn what you're talking about right now and realize that this is very important. So I'm like, yes, ma'am. And I do what I have to do to make sure that she's happy. And no, I'm just joking. But over the years, we've kind of relaxed a little bit. And you see Martha, she is inviting Jesus. I mean, imagine you're inviting Jesus to your house. You probably wouldn't only clean up the kitchen, you'd clean up your life first, right? You'd probably be like, okay, Jesus is coming. There's this, I may not even know who he is, but I know that he's important to a lot of people, so I'm gonna do something. And so here's what happens. Side note, Amy, like I said, Amy's relaxed a little bit. And so now she's less like, okay, we got to do X, Y, and Z. This past week, we were actually having some friends over on Friday night. And she decided, she's going to do a couple of days of work. Then she is just going to turn on Netflix and just watch Cheer. That's all she does now is watch Cheer. If you watch that, I don't know, but I just don't get into it. So you can talk to my wife about it. It's fun. So Mary and Martha, they had 2 different priorities. We're going to look at verse 39. Her sister Mary. This is what Mary did. Mary sat at the Lord's feet, listening to what he taught. Mary sat at the Lord's feet and listened to what he talked, but Martha was distracted by the big dinner she was preparing. She was in there cooking them the beans and turkey and gravy. I don't even know if they ate that. They probably ate like hummus. She was preparing this big dinner, and she came to Jesus and said, Lord, doesn't it seem unfair to you that my sister just sits here while I do all the work? Tell her to come and help me. Mary was saying, all I need to do, the only performance that matters, the only thing that matters in this moment is if Jesus is right here, I'm gonna be as close to him as possible. I'm gonna sit down at his feet and I'm gonna listen to what he has to say. Martha says, no, it is important to make sure that everything's ready, everything's prepared. I've got to make sure that the temperature on whatever is right. I've got to make sure that, he is taken care of. That is so important. What is that for you? What are the things in your life that you're saying, it is more important for me to outwardly prepare than to inwardly prepare? Because Mary is saying it is more important for my inward thoughts, from my heart to be focused on what Jesus has to say, when Martha is focused on what outwardly needs to be done. Now, here's the deal. Jesus has a response. But the Lord said to her, my dear Martha, you are worried and upset over all these details. All these details. There's only one thing worth being concerned about. Mary has discovered it all, and it will not be taken away from her. All these details, all these things in our lives that we say matters, all these things in our lives that we think are important, which, if we're being honest, they are, right? It's important for us for like you to get good grades. It's important for you to figure out how you're gonna pay for school. It's important for you to figure out, are you doing your best, to have good friendships? These things are important. Jesus is not saying those things aren't important, but he's saying there's one thing that matters most. The details are important, but there's one thing that matters most. And Mary has discovered it, and it will not be taken away from her. I think if we're honest, when it comes to our performance, the main point for us isn't to work for Jesus, it's to be with Jesus. When it comes to our performance, when it comes to what we do, is the intention behind what we do to do something for Jesus, or is it to be with Jesus? Here's what I mean. It doesn't mean that we need to exclude the need to do good things. You see, James, there's this dude named James, he's actually the half-brother of Jesus. He had a weird relationship with Jesus. He did not believe that Jesus was the Son of God, even though he lived with him, until Jesus was resurrected, until Jesus died, was buried, and then rose from the dead. And James then wrote a book in the Bible. You can go read it. It's called James. And he goes and he talks about a couple things. And he has this whole idea between what faith is and what our actions should be. And so as he's looking at this, he says in James chapter 2, verses 17 through 20, it says this. Go ahead and throw it out there. Now, someone may argue, some people have faith, others have good deeds. But I say, how can you show me your faith if you don't have good deeds? How can you do it? How can you show me that you have faith if you don't have good deeds? I will show you my faith by my good deeds. You say you have faith, for you believe that there is one God. Good for you, right? Good for you. James later said, Lottie freaking da. Even the demons believe that there's a God. Even the demons believe this, and they tremble in terror. Can't you see that faith without good deeds is useless? Now, you may be sitting here thinking, well, great, then why am I here? It's a good question. I want you guys to be here. What he's saying is that we are not justified. That is a theological word that means that we are not made right in God's eyes based upon what we do. Paul, who is this really cool guy who had a radical transformation, was walking so far away from God, and God changed his life, literally stopped him in his tracks and made him go the other way. It was really amazing. Ephesians 2, verse 9 says this in the NLT. It says, salvation is not a reward for the good things we have done, so none of us can boast about it. Your salvation, what it means to be saved, what it means to have a relationship with Jesus Christ is not based upon what you do. Because if it's based upon what you do, then you could boast about it. You could be like, look at me, I'm better than so-and-so because of what I do. And if we're honest, that is what our world says. I need to make sure that I know where my rank is. I need to make sure I know how good I am compared to so-and-so. I may not be that good compared to so-and-so, but I may be better than that person. And I think if we treat our relationship with God about it, then what we're actually doing when it comes to the sacrifice that Jesus made for us, we're sitting here and saying that the sacrifice you made for me is more important than the sacrifice you made for that other person over there. And Jesus said, I died for every single one of us, and I'm including myself, every single one of us, once and for all, because every single one of us, we are separated from a holy and just and righteous God because of our sin. And the heart of the gospel is saying that he knows that, God knows that about us, and yet he still loves us, he still cares for us, and he still sent his son to say that I want to make you right, not based upon what you do, but because of what I have done for you. Chasing Jesus means not chasing performance. Chasing Jesus means not chasing performance. And as we kind of wrap this up, I think what happens is we tend to chase, or what we tend to chase is wrapped up in our identity. And here's what I mean. You know, Gen Z, statistically speaking, is one of the most conscious about financial issues. I don't know if you knew that. Who here wants it, or who here has a job? Who here wants a job? Why do you want a job? It's not a trick question. Money, yeah. But here is the question that I want to ask you. And you don't have to say this out loud, but why do you want money?
To buy things.
That's fair. Somebody, who said to save? Yeah, to save. Some people are like, I want that cash so I can go buy them shoes. Somebody's like, I want to save money because you know what happened to me and my generation in 2008? We graduated with a bunch of degrees and all these accomplishments because they said chase your dreams, and people said go to school and get your education, and then the recession hit and we couldn't find a job. And you guys grew up watching your big brothers and sisters struggle. And you grew up watching your parents maybe struggle. And so statistically speaking, Gen Z is the most conscious about financial situations, the most since the generation that had to deal with the Great Depression. But what's happened is a lot of times we feel like this sense of security is what we are looking for and what we establish when we have actually figured out what it looks like to get money. We think money is tied to security. Money is tied to value. Money is tied to worth. And so here's where I'm going with this. Who would you be if you got everything that you ever wanted? Who would you be? Who would you be? And where would you be in life if you had all the money in the world? If all of you, everything you ever wanted to have done, you have done. Where would you actually be? And this isn't a weird flex or anything like that. Just kind of stick with me. I want to tell you guys something. I've done a lot of things in my life. I've been to 10 different countries. I've been to, I was, pretty much before the age of 3. I've been to 34 states. I was all district, all region, all state musician. I played music and baseball in college. I've won multiple men's hockey league championships. I've been bitten by a non-venomous snake. I've rappelled from a 90-foot cliff, and I've ziplined at 65 miles an hour. I've met Dr. Seuss's widow. Seriously, I have. I'm a follower of Jesus. I'm a husband. I'm a follower. I get to tell people about Jesus. I get to be the pastor of one of the coolest groups of students I've ever had, and I love my grandma and grandpa. I know, yeah. Those things can be used to describe me, but who I am is so much deeper. Because this is who God says I am. It says in Ephesians 2:10 that we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. That word handiwork could also be translated as workmanship or masterpiece. And so what happens is, I sit here and I look in the mirror every single day. And when I look in the mirror, I think, this is what I feel like I see. I don't see a husband and a father when I look at a mirror. I see wrinkles. I see a receding hairline. I see hair in places I want and some in not places I don't want. But the truth is, I'm more than what I see in a mirror. And if I did this to you, and I was to ask you, what do you see? What do you see? Would you see what a picture of a person in a mirror? Or would you see your faults? Would you see your failures? Would you see your successes? Would you see your hopes? Would you see your dreams? Would you see somebody who is chasing after Jesus? Would you see somebody who's chasing after something else? You see, our identity and our worth is something that we chase after based upon what we do, unfortunately, but when it comes down to it, the God of the universe says, I know you are going to try and define yourself by a million things, but I want you to know beyond the shadow of a doubt who I say you are. And chasing after Jesus means not chasing performance, but it does mean chasing after something that looks like the person of Jesus that he desires for us to be. And we may not know what that looks like right now, but life change isn't about something that happens instantaneous every single time. When it comes to following Jesus, our salvation can happen in a moment, and that's amazing. But being the person that God desires for us to be is something that takes a lifetime. You see, this is what true life change actually is. Life change is saying yes to Jesus every day over time. It's saying yes to Jesus in the little things. It's saying yes to Jesus in the little things. It's saying yes to Jesus in the little things until the little things become easier to say yes to the big things. In the morning when you wake up and you're like, I don't feel like reading my Bible today. In the morning when you wake up and you feel like, I'm so pissed off at my friend because they did X, Y, and Z. And all I want to do is be mad at them, but you forgive them. In the moment, in the middle of the day when you sit there and you're like, man, I'm struggling and I just am going to pray. When we say yes to those little things over and over and over and over and over again, then it's easier to say when God calls you maybe to missions one day. You can say yes because you've said yes in the little things over and over and over. Or maybe when God's calling you to share Christ with a friend, it's easy because you've been saying yes to the little things over and over and over. Life change is saying yes to Jesus every day over time. It's not saying, Jesus, look at what I have done and what I'm going to do for you today. It's saying, Jesus, I don't know what it is you want me to do, but I'm going to say yes to whatever you say. So here's the deal. Our performance is not what defines us. Chasing after Jesus means chasing after Jesus. You're like, duh. And so I'm going to ask you, is that what you're doing? Is that what you're doing today? Garrett, is that what you are doing today? Leaders, is that what you're doing today? Our actions could say one thing or the other, but ultimately in our heart, that is where we're going to be able to see exactly what's actually happening. It's not about perfection. There's only one person who did that. His name's Jesus. Right now, the band's going to come back on the stage, and we're going to sing a song, and then we're going to go into small groups, and we're going to talk about what this means to not chase after performance. But I want us to understand something. Just like looking in that mirror, you're going to see a lot of different things that are going to be competing to tell you who you actually are. But before you allow those things to say who you are, make sure that you're listening to who God says that you are. He says he loves you. He knows you, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. And he says, I want you to chase after me.